Hey, this is David Howard Thornton. You might know me as Art the Clown for the movie Terrifier, and this is Without Your Head.
Welcome to the
Cool, man.
station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and returning here is Russell Geoffrey Banks of Who's Watching Oliver. I've been waiting to have you back on the show. It's very cool to talk to you again.
Hello, brother. Thank you for inviting me back on the show. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, definitely. So last time we had you on, I had you on. The movie wasn't out yet, and now I saw on your page it was
No.
number one on Amazon on the new releases.
Yeah, we just released. We released last week, but the DVD released yesterday. So yeah, man. Exciting times. Nervous, but exciting.
So is the version that I saw, the final version, the same one that's out now, or was it changed at all?
I think it's pretty much the same. Yeah, pretty much the same. You would have got the screener. So, other than the Blu-ray being a little bit crisper with color and so on, no, it's going to be the same disc.
When you were editing the movie, how hands-on were you when they edited the final movie?
So I wasn't at all. I didn't have any say in it or anything to do with editing. Jesse Maddox was our main editor, and he was working with Raymond Huber. So the two of those two were doing it both together.
Okay.
Close.
So when you saw the final movie, maybe I'm asked this, I'm not sure, but when you saw the final movie, were you surprised at all by anything that might have been cut out, or how the movie looked when it was finished?
Well, it is a big difference because so originally when I first watched a version of it, it was a lot longer, like a shit ton longer. It was it would have been about I don't know 45 minutes longer, and that bit, that one had a lot of the scenes cut out, but I think this version worked better. Yeah, so yeah, Jesse and Ray, they done a really great job. And then the version which I had seen also didn't have the sound, so Alex Boyesson, it was different sound. So Alex Boyesson, as the sound guy, he worked on it for a long time, and he done a really great job with all the sound. Yeah.
Is that a weird experience at all? Working on a movie, acting in the movie, and then kind of it goes away to other people. They put it together, and then watching, the final film that people put together.
In all honesty, I hate watching myself, man. I still do. Fuck, it's so cringy. Do you know, I just can't express how much I hate to watch myself. I think that, and it's probably a confidence thing. I don't know. I just. Anything I do, if I watch it, I think I look like a dickhead anyway. So, it's one of them. So, I don't even know if I would be able to be involved in any of that process because I just
cut yourself out of the whole movie, right?
Oh, completely. I just can't deal with it. Even and it's weird because I have to edit my show reels and all that because I'm a broke guy, broke motherfucker. So I have to do it myself. But it's so hard because, I just hate it. I hate watching myself at all. And then it's the whole thing when you listen, even with these podcasts and that, what makes me nervous is if I listen to them back because you hear your own voice. And then once you hear your voice, you're like, fuck off, I don't sound like that. You know? So, yeah.
I know very well because when I first started doing the show, I had to listen a lot to do the editing, and over time, I try not to have to edit too much because I don't like to listen to myself either. So I totally understand.
Yeah.
Or if I listen to an old show, I think, that guy sounds like a moron. I'm talking about myself.
Yeah, no, definitely. But no, actually, Jesse Maddox and Ray, they did a wicked job editing it. The first version, which I watched, it had so much missing, so much of the cool shit, like the whole Cecilia Belletti scene, the Italian girl when I kill her, when I'm off my pills and that, really greatly edited. And the first version I saw didn't have any of that, so it was nice when I saw it all come together. That was nice. That was cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People that's been seeing it so far, what's the reaction been like? And
Do you know, it's been great, man. It's been a big surprise. Like, fuck, and the reviews have been great. Like, we've had a few bad ones, but it's been like 95, 98% all good. We've had Jesus, it must be about 60 really great reviews. Just yesterday we had 3 come in. Oh man, and then like, yeah, some of them they write stuff like it's gonna be a cult classic, and then my guts just go, love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite surreal, and yeah, and when people have been talking about my acting, it's like, fuck, I'm an out of work actor trying to get work, so they're bigging me up, and I'm like, it's amazing.
That's pretty wild, though.
Yeah.
I love the movie right away, and Jason, who does our reviews, so I'm happy that people are seeing it and really digging it.
Well, you lot got involved. You know, this is a good thing. There's a whole bunch of the horror community. Like, I always bring up Meredith Bogart Brown because she was one of the first to really start pushing the film. But there's a whole big group of you guys, like yourself, and a load of other guys who have really got behind us right near the beginning. And we would have been fucked without that. Like, I honestly, this is like me, Ray, Richie, we always talk about how lucky we've been. Because if you guys have hated us, maybe we wouldn't have been doing so well now, because it seems to have just been like from one to another, and we're being passed along to another guy who somebody thinks we'd like, and they write about us. And yeah, it's been a ride, man. It's been cool.
Yeah.
It's been a long one, though. It's been like 2 years since we filmed it. So yeah, yes. But it's cool, man. Yeah.
Along those lines, like 2.5 years. So what happens in all those like 2.5 years from when you actually finish a movie? Obviously, you have to edit and put together, but I think there's probably a lot of things that people don't even think about.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like me and especially Raymond Huber, he was the co-director and then also the producer, but he never stopped working. And this is, I don't think like he gets enough thanks for what he's been doing. So, like when we wrapped, it just carried on, man. And then we tried to get into festivals, and it's so weird. Like we won, quite a lot of them, and but it's so funny because our original goal was to get selected for 2 festivals. That was it, and we was like, we sat down and we was like, right, if we just get into a couple of festivals, we can, we'll use it on the front cover of the DVD or whatever, and we'll be happy. And then, we ended up winning. I think it was like 11 festivals or something. I'm not sure. We done really well at the festivals.
Yeah.
So that was quite a long process. That was like last year. We was going from festival to festival, and every time it was highs and lows. Every time we got into one, it was like, fuck, we got into another one, and then we won it. And then myself, I picked up some acting awards, which, like, yeah, it was weird because, like, yeah. So on the other film, which I did, Ghost House, which I love being a part of that film. It was amazing. Like, I was so pleased to be on that film. But we shot that was shot quite a while before it came out, and like. Yeah, the reviews they didn't like me. That just put it how it is. Like in Starburst, they basically just said I was shitting it. So I was like, fuck. And then so then to win awards for this film, and the whole thing about that was with Ghost House. I loved being on that film. I loved working with Scout Taylor Compton, James Landry Herbert, but I did realise there was a difference between their acting and mine. I could feel the difference. So as soon as we wrapped that film, I was kind of disappointed in myself at my acting in that film. So I went straight back to the drawing board. I went back to England, studied straight for 6 months, 8 months. And then I really thought, right, the next film I do, I've got to really just try and get myself into it, all go in all shot. And then Oliver came along. We wrote that, and we'd been writing that in the meantime. So I went deep on that. So yeah, when I started to win awards for Oliver, it meant the world. It really did. It was like, and then it was funny because just last 2 weeks ago, we had a review from Starburst, Andrew Pollard at Starburst, and he was right to say it in Ghost House. He like, for Starburst, he literally said I'm like the worst actor in the world, blah blah blah, and I was like, fuck, that hurts. But then in this one, he wrote that this was one of the standout performances in the genre of 2018, and it's silly, but fuck man, it was just it meant a lot to me. That was the one which really, because it was a full circle, and that was the one which was like, the hard work kind of paid off in a way. Because
I don't know if you can put into words, but what are the things like you work on when you think like, well, I didn't act the way I wanted to in that movie, and you said you went, studied or worked on it, but what like are the specific things you work on?
So originally, like, I've studied in classes and that before, but I've always felt that I'm in catch up anyway, because I could never afford to do drama school, and I came into it quite late, so I learned on set. Like, I did a lot of the stand-in jobs on the bigger American films like Hangover, Shanghai, and that. But I think I missed out on that training. Mm-hmm. But actually, funny enough, what I did what is it called? Jesus, I'm trying to think of the name for any of the listeners. But I did this online course in America, and it's got tons of great teachers where it's like different workshops, like Amy Linden. Eric, I forgot their names, Jesus, but really great teachers. Mm-hmm. So I was doing that every day, and a lot of it was just learning to cope with my nerves, because that's one of the biggest things on being on set, is being able to control yourself, and really also learning how to learn the lines properly. That was the one thing which I didn't do in previous films, was really understand the character. So that was the difference with Oliver, is I felt like I really got into him a lot more than I did with previous characters. Mm-hmm. So yeah, those were the main things, and being honest with myself. And the other thing was, I think it was just being more honest, and there's one thing pretending to be something to actually being something. And I fucked it. Don't get me wrong, I fucked my head up with Oliver, though. I did go in really deep, and after the film, it stuck with me a long time, and it was like, fuck, I've got to shake this character off now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, definitely, I'm still learning on the job, though, so it is what it is. Yeah. But it was just nice to do that circle in a way of bad reviews from myself to good reviews, and it's feedback. And fuck, I never mind. Like, I never took it personal. It was, whenever I read anything bad about me, I just thought, right, yeah, fair point. Mm-hmm. I've got to improve on this. I've got to improve on that. None of the bad reviews were being nasty about me. Mm-hmm. They were just, I listen to a lot of other actors anyway. I like to go back and I listen to the people who I look up to. So I'm forever looking back at old tapes and interviews of other actors for advice. Mm-hmm. And I think Matthew McConaughey, he was talking about when he got bad reviews, and just you try and pick out the stuff which you can learn from, and because it's easy to get comfortable acting. It's easy to fall into a spot where you one thing worked once, and then you're like, fuck, people like that. I'll do that again, and I'll do it again, and that, It's easy to fall into that trap, and then you're trying to please the people around you rather than, being true to a character as such.
Yeah, and it's there's a difference between someone just being like, "Oh, this guy sucks," and some type of constructive criticism of why they didn't like it.
Yeah, definitely. 1,000,000%. But that said, it's fuck any of the films I've been on. I always appreciate just being on there. It's still I've been doing this now 10 years, but it's still like it's still new to me, and I'm still like, fuck, I can't believe I'm here.
Uh-huh.
And now I think that was the thing with Ghost House. Funny enough, is that in some of the scenes, I found myself. I'm a big fan of James Landry Herbert. I liked his work before we started, and same with Scout. So I think there was a few scenes when I was in the scenes, and I was like, this that dude from the other film I watched, and
Right.
so so that's something which I didn't. You just got to work on that a bit and be like, fuck, let's get into the character and really break it down and be you.
So,
Yeah.
back to the festival. When you're doing the festivals, I've had people on who either like really praise festivals, say they're good, and I've had other people who said they really think they're kind of a money trap, like you put money in and you don't really get anything out. Looking back, do you think that was a good experience, and do you think it helped get the movie out there?
We won a lot of festivals, so fuck yeah, I love them. I love the festivals. If we had lost or done nothing, I'd be saying the complete opposite. But
Right.
no, man.
Yeah,
Why they're being nice to us? I'm all about them.
Exactly. I myself just started doing festivals. I've been, just as there's press and stuff, and I've been really having a good time at the festivals.
So after we did the festivals, and with the festivals, first off, joking apart, no, they were great to us. So again, without the festivals, we wouldn't have spread the news. We're a tiny film. So the good thing about the festivals was that was our first place where we could actually go and spread the news to the horror community, because we were I'd say 80% of the festivals were horror festivals anyway. So that was our first part where we actually met people, and they passed us around. So that's another one, like Stu Joper at Dead of the Night Festival, and a million other, Nadine, I forgot her name, Jesus. But a million people, they were so kind to us at passing us around.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also why the festivals were so great for a little film like us.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the festival, and it also helped us sell us. Without festival wins, we'd be struggling a bit more than we were.
Mm-hmm.
Then after the festival, Raymond and our executive producer Aki and that, they went to try and find distribution for us, and that was the main process. So again, tireless. Raymond Huber again never stopped. While we were, why it had gone quiet from me and Richie, he carried on trying to sort a deal for us.
Mm-hmm. So then after the festival run, so you said you guys sold the movie at the festivals, or do you think that helped sell the movie?
No. I think it helped. I think it definitely gave us a platform to say, look, we've done okay. People seem to enjoy us. But that said, I don't know the business of the film, so films. So I might be wrong. That's just my opinion. But then after that, Raymond went away with Aki, tried to do their magic, tried to come up with a deal, and then luckily enough, we ended up working with Gravitas, who have been phenomenal. Got us to a lot more platforms than we expected. Like right now, Jesus, we're in so many cable networks and other things on video on demand, and Xbox, PlayStation, Vudu. Trying to think of some other places we are. Google Play, iTunes. And then we've got all the satellite and that networks in North America. So yeah. And then we waited for the release. In that time, just trying to plug away at pushing the film as best we could. Mm-hmm. It's been a long process, but it's been good.
Yeah. So what are some of the specials that are on the DVD and Blu-ray release?
Do you know what? I honestly have no idea.
Oh, right.
It wasn't it's bad, but I have no idea. That was down to Gravitas and Ray and that, so I'm not really sure. I think that hopefully something.
yeah, I'm sure there is. So You mentioned, after filming the movie, you kind of had to get out of the head of Oliver.
Yeah.
What was the process like
Yeah,
getting into it, getting into the head, first of all?
It was dark. It was dark, you know. First of all, we watched me, Richie, Raymond. We watched tons and tons of documentaries on serial killers. But then the whole thing with Oliver is he's been abused his whole life. So really watched a lot of documentaries and read a lot of stuff about abuse victims being abused your whole life. And then, you know, with Oliver, we don't actually go into what's there, but it is hinted at that he's slightly autistic, or do you know, like which is, in our view, a lot of that has been caused by the abuse that he's been suffering over the years, which he's been mentally, physically, sexually abused his whole life, and this is something that we try to have underlying what's been going on in his backstory. So yeah, just really trying to go into understand his decision making. It's funny because like 90% of the people who have reviewed us have said they get it, but the ones who didn't get it just don't understand why he would be doing what, like that. I think early on in the film you understand that his mother's forcing him to do the bad shit, you know. Like there's one scene in there which, it's a hard scene to watch, but his mum makes him masturbate in front of the camera. Now this was an important scene to show that he's probably done this his whole life. So when people are saying why doesn't he just say, oh no, I'm not gonna, well, if you've been victimized your whole life, it's not so easy just to turn around and say no to whoever's doing that to you. And this is something that we was trying to get across in those scenes. That's why those scenes are there, to really try and show his backstory of what's happened to him, you know. And then just understanding that it's you know, he's fragile. So when you're trying to go into that mindset, you know, you really trying to dig deep inside to be in that place, and it was fucking horrible set. This is like the one thing that I will keep saying in interviews, and that is, I've never worked on a set this dark before. It wasn't enjoyable. Nobody had fun. It like every other film I've been on, it's, you know, you're around people, you're fun, you're that. This one wasn't like that at all. It was a dark. Everybody hated being there, other than the outside scenes with Sarah. That was like great, but inside that house, it was horrible, and it was a constant battle, because every time I was going out of character, Richie or Raymond, they'd say like, you're going out of Oliver, go back to Oliver. So I think part of the reason like everybody was so dull on set, and it was so draining, was, you know, they realised it was so important to keep me in Oliver, and not to make it a fun place. And it wasn't. It fucking sucked. It was dark. It was, you know, even with the comical scenes, which comical, like, but they're not comical to perform them. Right. They're just nuances which are quite funny. But they're funny because you're doing them deadpan. There's nothing funny about performing them. It's not like you're breaking up with it and it's being a happy moment. It's not. It's still shit. It's still dark, and it was still tight. Like, I just can't express how much this one took everybody's energy, and everybody said the same thing about it. They fucking hated being there. It wasn't a pleasant experience to shoot this one, because it was so long in that mental space of being fucked up. And then it was funny. It was like the scene with Cecilia Belletti when Oliver finally just breaks. A lot of that was ad-libbed. That wasn't written, because that was the time to break. And I did. There wasn't no doubt of that. That was real. Like that the screaming, the fucking letting go. That was right. Let's get rid of this shit now. And it was fucking horrible, man. It wasn't fun. It wasn't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it shows on that's the one thing that I'm hearing is that it shows on the screen that the darkness did come across, and like the tensions, whatever was going on set, I think it helped us for the film.
Mm-hmm.
For that story, you know?
Yeah, because Oliver's not just like a villain; he's also a victim in the movie, in the story. And
a million%, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's good that the
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's fine. I think it's good that the violence is hard to watch because it shouldn't be like it's weird sometimes if you watch a movie and it's like the rape scene's fun in some way because that's kind of bizarre. But this is showing, that this is like a terrible things that are happening.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And it's like with the rape scene. Fuck, that was the worst scene I've ever shot. It was completely the worst, horriblest scene. But you take that out of that film, and then the one thing about that rape scene is what we're trying to get across is, and it's horrendous. It's completely horrendous to watch. Completely horrendous act. Like, I think anybody who's realistic knows that we're not saying, oh yeah, it's okay to rape anybody. Like, the whole point of that is that Oliver is crying when he's doing it. He physically can't. As soon as the camera goes off, he's on the floor crying, apologizing to the dead body. And yeah, it was fucking hard to shoot that. It was like everybody involved. Luckily, the one thing which was kind of made it easier was that me and Kelly, we've known each other for a long time, which helps, for the fact that it made it that little bit less uncomfortable. But it was still the most horriblest, worst scene I think any of us had ever filmed. But it tells a story, and it is telling a story. It's not just telling the story of this poor girl who's having these horrendous, horrible things happen to her. It's also showing this guy who's being submissive to his bully, doing this stuff what he's been ordered to do, completely hating it, completely not wanting to do that, but giving in to somebody else who's done physically and sexually and mentally abused him as well. So, it without that scene, it's a different story you're telling,
So how long did it take to get out of Oliver, get that out of your head? And was there anything you did specifically?
Quite a while, honestly. Quite a while. It was. I'll give you an example. Before Oliver, before that, I used to get panic attacks. Years and years ago, in the early days. Plus, I had massive stage fright. It's all combined. Oliver brought them back completely. After Oliver, I felt that the panic attacks come back, which I hadn't had for years. Yeah, it really did. It was something which took a while to get out of, and then you just. But it's not, when you say that, it's not because of the Oliver character, it's because you're making yourself sad. The simple fact is, if you're playing somebody sad, you're tapping in on your own sad, or you're bringing yourself down. You're playing with your own emotions. But you do it for a certain amount of time. Of course, it's going to stick with you. Of course, it starts to fuck you up a bit, and you're not feeling the happy fucking person you was beforehand.
Sure.
And so yeah, 1,000,000% that was, but it was a good learning curve as well, because Oliver taught me a lot about my own mind on tapping in for different characters, tapping into different thoughts, tapping into the emotions that you need. And for everything bad it was still, you still get that pleasure of an actor of becoming a different version of yourself in that way,
So, was that the only actor that you knew before the movie?
No, Sarah. I'd worked with her in another film, Sophia. She actually played my mother in King Arthur, the Asylum film, which, fuck, that was fun. That was a fun film. Judd Cohn. I mean, it's silly. It's a silly movie. It's a B movie. Like, that's what it is. It's a Asylum film, but fuck, it was fun. Oh my god, that film, like, it's ludicrous. It's silly. Like, 1 minute she turns, like, near the end, she turns into a fucking skyscraper robot going through Bangkok City. It's ridiculous, but it's meant to be. And on that film, I did that with so many friends, like Byron Gibson, Kelly B. Jones, Bronwyn Jones, Alex Winters, Owen, all these guys, like Ailey, Tanya. It was fucking fun, that film. And then that's where I met Sarah, and we got on well, man. We acted together, and it was a complete different style. This was like, but we stayed in touch, and I thought, fuck, I want to work with her again. So I'd said to Ray and Richie about Sarah, and yeah, luckily when she came over, she was shooting Kickboxer. She's in the Kickboxer film, see?
Okay.
With Jean-Claude Van Damme, and that. So she was in those two, and it worked in time. Like, that break of her being in Thailand worked out well for our films. So yeah, it was good, man. Jesus, Sarah Malakul-Lane, love working with her. She's great. She's great, really great. And fuck, man, that's what I say. Like, we're shooting all this dark stuff, and then when she came, we're out in this theme park, and we needed that. We really needed that little break away from this dark house and this dark shit. So that was nice. That was nice. And mentally, I needed that break, and just to be around somebody who was fucking awesome. Yeah, so that was nice.
Yeah, and I think it works in the movie too, because it kind of gives you, like, I guess, false hope but like, hey, maybe there's a chance for Oliver to live like a somewhat normal life, and maybe him and Sophia can
definitely
break out of this, and it makes the movie more horrific because you've got the little bit of hope there, and then it all breaks apart. Not to spoil the movie.
Definitely. No, but yeah, you're completely right. Definitely, and it's also there's a lot of things going on with Sarah's backstory, and there's little clues going in. If I think I mentioned this before, but it's like in conversations where we're talking about her dreams. If anybody wants to go back and actually look at the real meanings of her dreams, and that, they're little clues which people probably won't get, but it's just for us, man. We put in a lot of wild stuff, which people may never notice. But yeah.
So along those lines, are you anything you're surprised by at any of the reviews or people who watched it who pick up on something that maybe you didn't think they would, or maybe you didn't even see yourself?
Yeah. Well, surprised, first of all. I'm surprised everybody likes it, but that's just because I'm in it. So fuck, I'm buzzing off that. I can't, like, honestly, that's just a nervous person of me than the pessimistic. So people like it and it's doing well. That's, first of all, that's a bigger surprise, and I'm fucking buzzing on that. But when they review the film, yeah, I'm happy that people get the story a lot more than, but then other people don't, and that's sometimes it's weird because when you read the difference of the reviews, different people are picking up on. They're certainly picking up on different things that we planned, and it's funny that some go in one direction, some go in the other. I'm trying not to give away spoilers, but yeah, it's also funny because 3 people wrote the film: me, Raymond, and Richie. So, we all have little departments that we kind of put in there for a reason. So when one of them starts to get like Richie's little backstory or idea, I know he's sat there going, yeah, you fucking got it. Or when they get something which I wrote, I'm like the same, or Raymond, But yeah, and then there's so much stuff which people haven't noticed yet, which I don't know if they ever will, but there's so many little hidden things we got going on in the film, which was just for fun. Not for fun. Fuck, no, it wasn't. It was like us when we was writing it, trying to, you know, be storytellers. But it's nice when people do pick up on stuff which we did on purpose, because it was fucking hard to do it. And like certain stuff when we tried to time stuff just so it worked. It was like yesterday in one of the reviews, somebody brought up the pink train. And yeah, it's just nice when people start to notice stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not just watching.
Because I remember when we're shooting. Yeah, because all that stuff was like when Richie and Raymond, when they were directing, this was the stuff which they took time, and it's nice to see that certain people do see it. It's like, yeah, some of those shots, like you're waiting for that certain train to hit at that exact moment, and it all means something, but. It's like fuck. It took so long to prep these shots. So it is nice when certain people do read into it and go, yeah. There's something there, or little things like a T-shirt or something. I don't know. I don't want to give away shit, but yeah, it's just nice when certain people pick up on little things that we planned, or like a tunnel, or just a million little details, or a picture in the background, or fucking lighting change, or just there's so many little things that when I look back, and it was like took so long to try and put together these little. It's nice when people start to pick up on them. Do you know?
Earlier when you mentioned about stage fright, why did you pursue acting if you had stage fright? Because
I love it, man. I love it. There's I love it. Love acting. I'm a film fan, man. I grew up ever since I was a kid. I've been fascinated with films. Even as my mum and dad, they were split up before I can ever remember. And my dad, he used to bring me boxes of old VHS tapes, which he'd just left recording on the movie channel. Like back in the day when Sky first came around, he had Sky, and I used to live with my mum in like a little council flat. So he'd bring a box of videos, potluck videos, and I'd sit and watch them. And it didn't matter which ones they were. Could have been a horror film, could have been fucking hell, it could have been Hayley Mills in a kids film, could have been old black and white James Cagney or Bogart. I just love films, always have. And when I left school at 15. I got expelled, and then I did 5 years of jobs which, you know, they weren't for me. It was either being on a building site, or on a market, or behind a bar, on a roof, door-to-door sales, in a hospital. More than 5 years, all through my life, really, because you know, even when I was acting, I still had to do other jobs. But yeah, it was always the acting which I wanted. It was just, you know, trying to make that happen. And you know, everybody gets nervous on shit. You do, but it doesn't mean you give up. But I had some I tell you, like, I had some people have been extremely nice to me along this road. It's God rest his soul, Michael Clark Duncan. When I was doing the stand-in on Street Fighter 2, Legends of Chun-Li, I had to stand off camera and just read a page of lines to a table of guys who are sat down in the Bison's Den. And that gave me back then I didn't realise it was like almost a panic attack, but I didn't know what was going on. It was just, to me, it was stage fright. And then I locked myself downstairs in the toilet. I was like, fuck, what the fuck? Like, I'm not even in the film, and I'm getting nervous just standing off camera reading to these guys. I couldn't do it. You know, somebody had to come and take over. And then after, that was something which I always remember is Michael Clark Duncan. He came and he spoke to me about nerves and told me about, just gave me some nice tips on it. And it was nice. And I've had a lot of people throughout the journey so far who have been super nice to me when they didn't need to, and it means the world to me, you know.
So, would you ever do another Oliver movie?
Maybe. Got to see what happens with this one first.
Sure, it's pretty early yet.
Yeah, of course I fucking would. I don't know who the fuck am I saying? Of course I would at some point. I just got to see what happens with this one. You know, it's still, do you know, it's still kind of surreal that, like, you know, this is the first. I did a film years ago called Goodnight Gloria, and this isn't nothing about the film. It was just this is, you know, this was an attempt at something which with Jack Everett, and you know, we didn't know what we was doing so well. And I still speak. I love Jack. He took a gamble on this film and that, but it wasn't great. And you know, that's on me. I did like Sarah Lee was great in that film, but myself, that was one of the first large roles I'd done. This is really a while back. Yeah, so now to have a film where I'm like the lead guy in it and people seem to like it, it does feel surreal. I'm not like playing it cool on this one at all. I have nerves of jelly. So when I'm like looking at this shit, I'm like, fuck. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. So, yeah, I went off tangent there, but I forgot the point I was going to make. But, yeah.
Yeah. What was that movie you mentioned?
Goodnight Gloria. Oh man, that was fun. That was I helped write that one, and yeah, me, Jack Everett. Actually, funny enough, Byron Gibson in that film. Byron Gibson, he was in Only God Forgives. He's an old friend of mine, lovely guy. I know him from Bangkok. He's doing amazing. He's got quite a lot of films out, but I've worked with him a few times. And then Sarah Lee. Oh Jesus, my mind just. But Sally Lofthouse, another load of great people. But we had no money at all. I was crashing on Deanne Charles, an old friend, on her sofa, just trying to shoot this film around London. And this guy Jack Everett, he put like everything, every penny what he had into that film, which is beautiful of him. And you know, it was learning. Everybody was learning, and it's the first film. First films are meant to be like that, unless you're a genius like fucking Quentin Tarantino or Martin Scorsese or somebody like that. Yeah. But it was what it was. But I look back at that at fond memories, and yeah, that was fun. It was hard though. It was a hard one trying to, you know. And again, same like fucking most of the listeners who do film. You look back at those films and you look back at all the people who helped you back then, like crashing on floors or like, a million, yeah. So, but, and to me, that's, you know, this is another thing, like every film, because I didn't do the drama school, like the 3-4 years of drama school, I do feel like every film was learning, every film I did, and you can see that because, you know, on these earlier films, I suck. I was shit on them, like you know. But I was learning, and you're allowed to suck when you're learning. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But
so,
yeah.
When you were watching those movies that your dad would record, which I used to record off TV too.
Yeah.
What are some of the ones that do stand out to you that you think like? You know, I know you said you like all of them, which I grew up watching all movies too, but ones that like stuck out to you that really meant something to you.
When I was a kid, the films as a kid, what really meant stuff to me. Well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Exorcist. Funny enough, they were banned in England. So right as a kid, the whole thing of having a banned film when you're young was just the biggest thing ever. So. More than anything, that meant like the world to you as a kid, just to tell everybody you watched this banned film, and it scared the fuck out of me. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that was actually one of the first horror films that I can ever remember resonating in me as something that really scared me. And then that, you know, there's other films that mean a lot because, you know, like I'm sat watching it with my dad. So Angels with Dirty Faces with James Cagney, or White Heat. You know, they mean the world because I remember sitting as a kid watching it with my dad, and then my dad loved it, so I loved it. So there's stuff like that. Old cowboy films I remember, like old John Wayne or Clint Eastwood films. I remember them, same reason, because, you know, as a kid, Or there's other films that like. Funny enough, what's the Charles Dickens film? A Christmas Carol, the old black and white one.
Yeah.
Just because it always remembers. I love it. Every Christmas I'd watch it. I'd stay up and watch it alone. I love that film. Then there's the films of the 80s when I was growing up, which were like fucking Gremlins and The Labyrinth, Never-Ending Story. Never-Ending Story. We must have rented that from the video shop about 10 times, me and my sister. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th Part 1, all these films, No Retreat, No Surrender. All these films I can just remember. The Karate Kid. I remember as a kid watching I started karate as a kid. I went to about 8 lessons because of that. That film. Yeah, fuck, man. A million films I could just keep going on and on. Like I say, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's another one which me and my sister, we would have rented that film. So somebody should have just bought us that film because we watched it that many times. And then the 80s horrors at sleepovers, like all the old Stephen Kings or The Night of the Living Dead, that zombie film. Fuck, I remember that being on Sky, the Friday night horror. They played that, and I remember just sitting there going, "Fuck, this is amazing." The Shining as a kid, that was something what my dad liked, so I liked. And then Schindler's List, I watched it. My dad, I was too young, like I can't remember how old I was, about 11 when that came out, but he took us to the cinema to watch that film. But I love it. It's one of the great films.
Oh, definitely.
My mum and my sister watched Dirty Dancing every Sunday, and I love it. I love that film. When I look back at it, it's one of my favourites now. It is. Fuck, Patrick Swayze. Plus, when I was a kid, Jennifer Grey. I looked at her in Dirty Dancing, and I was like, oh, love her. And then there's the 80s movies like Splash, Big with Tom Hanks. I would have watched that a million times. The Goonies.
Yeah.
Fuck. Love the Goonies. And then all the horror films. Just, there's The Stepfather, Shocker. It, the original It. I loved the first half of it. I was never keen on the second half, but the first half, I always loved that film. Yeah. The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
I keep going on and on. Back to the Futures. Fuck.
Yeah.
And then there was other films like sorry.
No,
I was gonna say then there was other films that as a kid I grew up watching, but I loved the actors in it, like the old Paul Newman films or even James Dean films. I watched them thinking, fuck, I want to be like there was films that I loved for them being films, but then even as a kid I remember films that I loved because I wanted to be that actor, So yeah.
I just want to talk quick about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because I do think that's one of the best horror movies ever made, and it's a lot of things going on. I think it's so gritty, it almost seems like you shouldn't be watching it. It's like a dirty movie. I don't mean like a sexy dirty movie, but it's like something you shouldn't be seeing. It's almost like a documentary or something.
It's brilliant.
And it's funny.
I was
gonna say when I was a kid, I really liked the Leatherface and the hitchhiker. But when I got older, I really think my favorite character is the cook.
See, my favorite character is the one who works at the slaughterhouse. What's his name?
Yeah, the cook. Yeah, exactly.
The one who. Oh yeah, the cook. Yeah, he was always my favorite. I always found him the scariest.
I agree.
Because in the like when he first cuts himself in the van, I remember just thinking, fuck. And then it's like when they, I always found that he creeped me out so much as a kid, and still does. I love that bit, and it's the beginning of it all just going nuts. Yeah. Great film, man. Great film, and there's so many little details. It's like at the very beginning with the camera noise.
Yeah, it's like
I love it. Do you know when
it's like kind of thing. It's very it's just off-putting.
Oh, it's great. And then there's some real scenes in that film as a kid, like when when they're trying to get the old person to hit the grandparent to hit with a hammer.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid that one sticking with me, that scene, going, oh Jesus.
Yeah, hit him
And
again, Grandpa.
just the idea of that house in the middle of nowhere, because everybody knew a house in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, it was freaky. I love it. Still to this day, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my favorite horror of all time.
I love it.
And when you go and watch the behind the scenes of it, it's just like that house where they had all the real like gone off meat and stuff around. It looks how it comes across on camera. So yeah.
Yeah, like I think Gunner, who plays Leatherface, like he gets so like because he's trying to cut the girl, and for whatever reason, like the tube doesn't work, and he like actually cuts her. And it's like, wow, that's just, crazy to think, someone actually do that. But it really adds to the movie because there's such madness going on.
And it's that end scene of it when she's trying to get away in the morning, and then she gets into that first thing and then into the next. It's that to me. It's like, and he's running down the road. That's just that's horror to me. That's like when you look at an old horror, that's the one which you're like, fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like part 2 and stuff, but none of the other sequels really came close to the original.
No, the original you just can't beat that film. And it's something about that look. It looks old, which makes it feel scarier.
And people talk about
I love it.
People talk about Scream Queen and stuff, but Marilyn Burns in that, I think, really sells the horror because she really seems like she's out of her mind, screaming and such terror. Look in her eye and everything.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, it just looks the whole thing of that just looks so fucked up, and the whole thing is where she's looking after her brother in the wheelchair. It makes her slightly different to the other victims in the fact that she's got this one person holding her back from so it's it also almost makes her stronger as a victim, so it's nice.
Yeah. And weirdly, I always thought there's a thing, because I always think that the guy in the wheelchair is like unlikable, which is a weird, because you should feel really sorry for this guy in a wheelchair, and but in a way, like you're kind of like, that's a guy I want to see go first,
because he's a dick and he's whinging and all that. So
he's a very annoying guy.
But then the whole bit when he cuts himself, the guy, the cook cuts himself in the van. It's and then he stabs him in the leg, doesn't he? That's what happens, right? I haven't seen it for a few years.
Yeah. Well,
it's great.
Yeah, that's actually I'm sorry. That's the cook is the older guy, but the guy that cuts himself, that's I think they just call him the hitchhiker, but Ed Neal.
Yeah. Okay. So he's my favorite, the hitchhiker, the one who works at the slaughterhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's part of the family, so like the son or what, right?
Yeah. I don't think you ever really know how they're all related besides the grandpa in the first movie, but I always think that's what's missing in the last few.
In my head, he was always like the younger brother of.
I think they're really all brothers, but I'm not positive. But I always think that's what they overlook in the last few new ones is they really just focus on Leatherface. And, he's cool and all, but I think what makes the first one so great is the whole family dynamic, where it's not just one guy. It's all of them, and they all kind of have their level of craziness to them.
Well, funny enough, that's to me, that's what happened. It's like that same type of thing with in the Friday the 13th Part 1. It's scary to me. It's because it's a mum, and it's like it's not. There's that little bit of this could really happen when she starts to do the voice. That scared me more than Jason ever scared me as a kid, especially. It was that. So it's that same type of thing, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
What did you think of Hereditary?
Oh, you know what? I can't say it's a bad movie, but there was something about it I really couldn't get into it. and I know a lot of people really love it.
Yeah.
But I really kind of found it kind of boring, and definitely like a lot of the visuals in the movie, and I think it's well made and well performed. But I don't know. I just really couldn't get into it.
See, I really got into it. I wasn't so crazy about the ending.
Yeah.
But that was just that the only reason why, and I try not to give any spoilers because I'm sure a lot of people haven't watched it yet, is I like the idea of it just being about you're gonna, like, originally I thought the film was gonna be, right, it's hereditary, so you're gonna be somebody who died in your family, or like your grandparents was a murderer, and then you're gonna naturally be fucked up and turn that way because it's running in your blood. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of I got sold on that idea. So when it was different to that, I think I would have loved it if I wasn't already sold on that idea. But that said, Toni Collette, she played the mum. I thought she was fucking amazing in that film. And there was moments in it which I loved. There was certain moments that were just really fucked up and dark that I thought, wow. And the way it was shot was beautiful and that. But yeah, so I was hit and miss. I loved it, but then there was parts which I didn't love.
Yeah. I think the end for me, also, like yourself, I will try not to spoil it, but I think there, like, so much exposition right at the end. It was almost, I think, kind of put in there to explain exactly what happened in case, like, the audience didn't understand. And that kind of took away from the movie to me when someone just kind of explains exactly what you saw. Yeah,
and I'll be honest, like, I'm a dumb fuck, so part of that I didn't understand. I was like, what the fuck? And then I went and, like, read up and cheated, and then I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
I think it would have been better maybe if the whole end was kind of spread out more for the movie, for me anyway.
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted. I didn't. Yeah, I feel like that just came, and then it was. But then there was some scenes like that bit with Toni Collette in the loft, and again, I don't want to give any spoilers, but I was like, fuck. And then there was scenes there were some great scenes in it, like when she was stood next to the bed. I thought, wow, this is, like, amazing. So yeah, like, the acting in it, I thought she was just another level of just being brilliant in that role.
I do agree everyone was good in it, and it's well made. I kind of would like to give it a second chance. I
think that's what I would do. I went and watched. Yeah, I think that's what I will do. I'm going to give it another watch, and then, especially now I understand it a bit more.
Yeah. So sometimes you can enjoy a movie that has, like, a weird ending like that, because then you can watch again and kind of look for the clues and how people act, and see if you can pick up on something that you didn't pick up the first time you watched it.
No, definitely. What do you recommend lately? Anything good? What I should watch?
You know what? I actually like the new Purge, which I never really liked the other Purge movies, but I like this recent one, the first Purge. I thought it was definitely the best one.
I haven't watched it. I watched that. I've got to watch it. I like the first one, but I'm a massive Ethan Hawke fan. I really
yeah.
So I pretty much like most stuff what he's in.
Yeah, I thought this was the best one of them, but I liked it. I don't know how new I would say it is, but I really liked The Devil's Candy. I think that's a great horror movie from the last few years.
I haven't watched that one. Got to watch it.
Yeah, it's
not watched
good.
that one. And I haven't watched this new Strangers yet. How was that?
I haven't seen it either. Oddly enough. So
see, I love the first one.
They've some people I know are making a documentary about the guy who plays the main stranger, which I'm interested in seeing.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice. I tell you, actually, the first one with what's her name? Jesus, Aerosmith's daughter. What's her name?
Let me look it up here. I'll cheat and look on IMDb.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Liv Tyler?
Yeah. There's that one scene. This is... It's actually one of my favourite scenes in any horror film. is when they knock at the door, if you watch her neck, and it's such a it's such a small thing, but on her neck it twinges at the knock, and I don't know. To me, it's like fuck. That looks like real fear. So to me, that's like one of my favourite scenes out of any horror film, just because of her acting in that one scene. I think it's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you got to go back and just watch that whole scene where, like, they knock at the door when he's out, and watch her neck. Just watch her neck. And like, it just looks like she's so really scared. It's awesome to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know you mentioned,
and I like the idea. Sorry, no, carry on.
No, you like the idea about like you don't really know who the strangers are. Is that what you like about the idea of the movie?
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. I love like when they say, "Why are you doing this?" and then it's just because you was home. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, because that's scary. It's kind of like the first
Halloween. Makes it real.
Is someone who is just kind of evil with no reason.
Yeah, see, that's the stuff that always freaks me out, man. That's like, if I'm alone in a big house, that's the shit what will play in my head. I'm like, fuck. Somebody could just come do this for no reason. Mm-hmm. Scares me. Don't like that. Yeah. That's the shit what freaks me out in life.
You mentioned...
But I'm a pussy, all shit freaks me out.
You mentioned liking the original It. Did you see the new one?
The new Halloween?
The new It. Stephen King's It.
Oh, loved it. Loved
too.
the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I love but then, fuck, like, I love a coming-of-age story as well. I'm big into my old I grew up watching Stand By Me, all of them. I can sit. That's still a genre of film that I can. Yeah. Oh my god, The Wonder Years is my all-time favorite.
I agree.
Favorite show of that and The Sopranos. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, another excellent one.
But The Wonder Years. Do you know The Wonder Years never released on what was it, on DVD or the box set because of the music rights? Mm-hmm.
They finally put it on Netflix because there was so much, it's perfect music in every episode. It really fits the emotions of the episode, and so but that made it very hard.
It's great, man.
Yeah, and it would have really taken away from it if they took the music out.
Yeah. I loved The Wonder Years. I grew up. Do you know, it was funny because when it first run, I was I can't remember how old, but they used to play it every Sunday, and that was the one program that every week I had to watch. And I think it was Sunday or Monday.
Yeah.
It's Sunday, pretty sure Sunday, but yeah. And I love it. Every episode they did that same thing when the voiceover goes, "I never really realized it, but after this, life was never going to be the same again." And then they had some cool music. I loved it. And just that little look of Kevin looking like, contemplating like, oh my god. But it was cool, man. Like, they went over like the first, even in the first pilot episode, they go over like Winnie's brother dying in the Vietnam War, and I loved it. I loved that program.
When it first When it first aired, I watched it every time it came on too, and I was the same age as Kevin was in the show on the first airing, which was always pretty cool. Yeah,
I think I would have been. What year was you born?
I was born in '76, so I think I'm a little older than you, but it might have played.
Yeah. I'm 81, but
you
played a little bit later in England, I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I loved it, man.
You're watching it, even though it's a different era. It's like when you're watching it, some things are timeless. So it's like you totally understand and going through the same thing at the same time while you're watching.
Oh, definitely. But then we used to have in England, like I remember around the Wonder Years time, we used to have a load of American programs, which I'm guessing would have been played a few years later. Like we had Happy Days every week, so I used to watch that. Used to have Waltons on the Sunday morning that'd always play. Quantum Leap, I fucking loved Quantum Leap. Oh my god! Like, did you get into?
I never watched
Sam Beckett.
Yeah, I've actually never watched Quantum Leap.
Oh my god! Fuck! Go back and treat yourself. It's amazing. It's like I can't express how much I loved Quantum Leap. It was that was unbelievable. You got to go back and just watch the whole box set.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping it'll still carry. I haven't watched it for years, but fuck, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised they've never redone Quantum Leap into a TV series or a film.
God, yeah, because they've redone pretty much everything.
But then it's like, fuck, how's it going to work? Like when I watch it, I forgot the actor, but Quantum Leap's him. So yeah, it's one of them for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do we fuck with it? Actually, fuck it. Fuck with it. Hire me. Get me in there. Fuck with that. Let's get me in that one. Do the remake. Anybody out there? Bosh. Sort me out. I'll be the Quantum Leap guy. Love it.
All right, it works for me. So I know you mentioned Sopranos too.
Yeah.
That was I really thought that Sopranos ushered in like a whole new era of great television on like cable and basic cable.
So, like, I've watched every episode of The Sopranos about a million times, and I still go to YouTube and just watch clips of The Sopranos. I love James Gandolfini. It's funny when people die who you don't know, but they still upset you because you love them so much. And I think what's happened is I love The Sopranos and Tony Soprano and James Gandolfini's acting so much that every time I watch it, I still feel completely sad that he's dead. Because and I'm still so sad that that's over. And every time I watch it, and that's how I think that's how fucked up I am in I'm a child in my head, that I still have the emotions every time I watch it because I love it that much.
Yeah.
And I just can't put into words how much I love The Sopranos and every character, every story. And I can still just put on any episode and just enjoy it as much as I ever did. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, even like the small characters, his crew is amazing.
Brilliant.
But even just everybody in it, it's so good.
Yeah. I love it, and I can't wait. I really want to see. It's funny. I can't wait because it's part of the Sopranos franchise. So they're making that. What's that? What's the new Sopranos film being called? But it's from David Chase, right?
It's going to be like a prequel about like Uncle Junior and stuff.
Yeah, what is it? Something Queens. I forgot, but so I can't wait to watch that. But that said, I'm so sad that James Gandolfini's not in it, even though he wouldn't have been because it's so yeah.
But
and then it's the whole Christopher.
The Many Saints of Newark. I just looked it up.
That's it, yeah.
But
I tell you a funny story about Richie Moore, which actually, you should have him on one time.
All right.
He'll tell you. But if you ever look at his pictures, when I first met him years and years and years ago, he was a very close old friend. He helped me a lot on sets, and when I always had him on my phone as Christopher Montesanti, because he looked like the character Michael Imperioli, and he sounded like him. Really did look like him. And I think on one of his first jobs, I don't want to tell his story because I'll tell it wrong, but he worked on a set where Michael Imperioli was, and he got confused for him. He looked that much similar to him and talked so much similar to him. But yeah, so for about 5-6 years of knowing Richie, the director of Who's Watching Oliver, I had him on my phone as Christopher Montesanti.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. And he's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's not just his look, his mannerisms and the way he spoke. Richie speaks very similar to Christopher Montesanti. His accent was similar. Yeah, it's funny. It's it's a funny little.
But I grew up watching mafia movies. I always love mafia movies.
Me too. I love them. I still do. Any of the, obviously, Goodfellas and Casino and all them, but I love most. I'm a big gangster fan. I love them. Love them.
Yeah, I like them in.
They're doing
was in Goodfellas.
What?
Jay and Spider.
Yeah, love Goodfellas, but amazing. And then there's other ones. Even some of the not so good gangster films I still love. What's what's it? Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. I like what's his name in that? He was in Godfather 3. I forgot his name. I wish he'd done more gangster films. Yeah, a lot of great. And then, what was the film with Tim Roth where he played Dutch Holtz? Love that film.
Yeah, what is that? Is it Damn, I can't think of it.
Remember.
I kind of want to look it up, but
Yeah, I like. Yeah, and then I love gangster films, English gangster films. I think last time I was on, I mentioned to you, you got to watch Gangster #1 with Paul Bettany. Unbelievable. Anybody who hasn't watched that, go and watch that. It's fucking awesome. Paul Bettany plays the best gangster ever. He's such an evil cunt. It's such an evil guy in that film.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Did you ever watch the show Peaky Blinders?
Love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Love it. So, Cillian Murphy in that film is fucking unbelievable.
Yeah,
in that TV series, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Love him. I tell you another one which actually it hasn't got had as much viewing as it should have.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody out there, go and watch Love Hate. It's an Irish gangster show, and it has that whole Sopranos thing going where it's like over family, over different series. Mm-hmm. Fucking unbelievable. Like, it takes an episode or two to get into it, but then once you see like the Nidji character, and it's like the only Irish TV show that I've ever really sat down and loved. Mm-hmm. But Love Hate, unbelievable gangster TV show, brilliant.
When was that
brilliant
from?
Show.
What years?
Not recent? So long ago. We're going back about 5 years. Oh, yeah, five. I'd say 5 years ago, and then I think that had four series. Mm-hmm. But great, really, really, really fucking good story. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another TV show that I said, last time, it's not gangster, but I said to you last time, I think, to watch This Is England, the Shane Meadows TV, the film followed by the whole TV show. That's another one of my all-time favourites. Unbelievable acting and story. Unbelievable.
I'll have to try to find these.
Yeah.
I want to say 2 years ago I was sick and I was in the hospital for a while and then rehab and then back to the hospital.
What was up?
I had diverticulitis, which is you get things in your colon and real quick, it's a long story, but I'll try to make it quick. So I had pain in my side. I went to the emergency room. And they said I had diverticulitis. Yeah. They sent me back home without any pain medication or anything. Just some pills to get rid of the infection. 2 days...
brother, I'm sorry, you've gone.
Uh-oh.
You've gone right off. Oh, you're back. You're back.
Oh, okay. Let me just write down the time here. So 2 days later, I go back to the hospital because then I couldn't stand up. I couldn't lay down. I couldn't do anything. And they took me right in and performed emergency surgery on me because my colon had perforated. And so they had to remove 14 inches of my colon because my body was filling up with toxins and I was dying. And so actually, it was a really bad time. I had a colostomy bag for months. And it was just an awful experience. But while I was in the hospital, I didn't have much to do. And so I binge watched the whole series of Peaky Blinders, up until I think it was the first 3 seasons at the time. It was a great show. But I'm doing better now, so you don't have to worry about it. I have a lot of scars.
You good now, are you?
Yeah, I've got a lot of scars, but I feel fine.
Mate, don't worry about scars. What is it? What did they say in The Simpsons years ago? Chicks dig scars, something like that. I can't remember. But fuck that. Don't worry about scars. Just as long as you're all right inside. Yeah. Jesus, that sounds terrible. Terrible time.
Yeah, it's a longer story, but it was not a good experience. I laugh about it now, but it was very terrible at the time.
I've had a lot of family who've had issues, health issues, and all that. Luckily, I haven't because I'm a pussy, man. I'm a pussy with being ill. Even if I've got a cold or what, I turn into a baby. So, I don't know how I deal if I really got ill. So whenever I hear about people who have been seriously ill, in my head, I'm like, fuck, poor you. Like, that sucks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a long experience.
But you're doing better now, yeah?
Yeah, it's 2 years ago and doing a lot better. I feel totally fine. But it was, I can't eat certain things. I can't eat nuts. I can't eat seeds. I can't eat popcorn. I can't eat corn. But besides that, I can do without all that. I do miss the popcorn when I'm at the theater, though, and you smell the popcorn with the butter on. But I know I can't eat it. So.
Yeah.
I do miss it.
No, I'm trying not to eat popcorn because I'm a greedy bastard if I just eat loads. So, but love it.
So, the director you mentioned a couple times, Richie, did you know him before you guys did the movie?
Very close, we were close friends, really close friends. I met him, trying to think when. I'm guessing 10, 11, 12 years ago. I met him on when I was doing the stand-in. It's a long time ago, or before that, probably before that, when I was first around Thailand. But met him on set. Super kind to me, super nice back in the day. But this is the whole thing. When I was doing the stand-in, not only was I learning a lot, so I always appreciate that. I appreciate because I got to be on set around great actors. But that you always remember the people who were kind to you. You always remember that actor, that director, that I like Richie, the camera guy, somebody being super nice to you because you're at the bottom. And when you're at the bottom, it sucks. It sucks. You're at the bottom. And that was the thing with Richie. He was super kind to me. On set, he'd teach me about how to work with the light or teach me the lens on the camera. So, as an actor, if you know what lens you are, say if it's on a 20, I know that everything's in shot. So, it's just, you don't have to ask this stuff. Or when if the lens on a real high lens, you've got hardly any movement. So all this type of shit, learning it early, it helped me no end. Also, with him being the cameraman, he taught me how to look through the lens. Not because... So for 3, 4, 5 films of 2-3 months when I was doing the stand-in, that's what I was working on. I was working on how to look as close to the camera as I could without looking at the camera. And it was all this stuff which I'm grateful for Richie for that stuff back in the day because he was kind to me. Same like Chris Lowenstein. Chris Lowenstein owned Living Films in Thailand, him and Oliver. So these guys, I'm always grateful to these guys because, fuck man, I at that point I hadn't done acting class. I just rocked up in Thailand on a holiday. All of a sudden I found out these guys are doing film. Next thing I know, I'm on set. And I always appreciate that. I always appreciate that time. I appreciate all the Thai. This is the one thing with the Thai guys. The crew, I love them to pieces because these are the guys who taught me my craft. Without them being nice to me, and they didn't have to be, You remember that shit. And same with other actors. I did stand-in for James Van Der Beek. Fuck, this guy was so nice to me back in the day. I hadn't spoken for years, but for months after, he'd sent me I remember looking back at emails, and he'd sent me tips on acting over email, and I was just doing the stand-in. Bradley Cooper. There's a reason this motherfucker's done so well, not only because of his talent, but because he's a lovely guy. And there's a lot of these guys that, they're there because they're fucking cool and they deserve to be there. They're humble, and they help you out, and they don't even realize they've done you. It's like working when I did on Shanghai. I was doing the stand-in, and then so I'm watching John Cusack. Okay, he's not my mate. I didn't know the dude. But the fact was, I'm in a room watching this guy act, and I'm learning off him, and he's letting me learn off him. So I always appreciate that stuff. And a lot of the guys back then, I remember them. The ones like Neal McDonough playing Bison. I just remember this guy being a lovely guy, giving you tips. Chow Yun Fat. Fuck, I remember this dude on Shanghai. He turned up to set, and then he could have walked through his shot, but because he could see I was a stand-in, he said, no, you do it. And then he sat and watched, and he said, do it real, sat and watched me do it, and then came and gave me critique on it before he shot his scene. And I always think, fuck, man, that's a cool thing to do. What a cool dude, you know what I mean? So a lot of these people were just super fucking fucking nice to me. And you know, when you're at the bottom, they're the people what keep you going. You know what I mean? They're the ones what make you think like, fuck, all this is happening for a reason in your, you know, in your own world. Like these motherfuckers. 5 minutes ago, I'm working behind a bar, struggling to pay my fucking rent. Now I'm sat next to fucking Michael Clark Duncan or Neal or one of these guys, and you're watching them do their craft. And like this guy, I'd watched him on The Green Mile. He was one of my favourite actors. Now I'm talking to him, and inside, I'm going nuts. I'm like, fucking hell, this dude. I've seen him on the screen, and now he's giving me a tip, and he's like telling me a tip on how not to be nervous and shit like that, and stuff like that. When you're coming up, that's the stuff what matters. Not matters, but you know what I mean. It helps. It's same like Joel Swadon. I mentioned about working with him on Cam to Cam. Just him being so nice to me and kind to me, because I was so nervous on set. My heartbeat must have been racing. And the problem with being an actor when you're nervous is, this is a thing which you come to learn is nerves. Forget, you know, they're good to the degree of blah, 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 but you can't be yourself if you're nervous. It's so hard to act. How you know, if your heart is racing and your mind's about to fucking pass out because you're that scared, you know, how can you have a serious conversation and calm yourself down? And then it's around the people you're around, like Joel and Raymond. This is when I'd worked with Raymond on Dragon Wolf briefly for a date, but Cam to Cam was the first film that I worked with him properly. But without these guys calming you down and saying, yeah, you're all right, mate, don't worry, you're nervous as fuck, but yeah, it's cool, and being super nice to you and helping you, well, then you don't progress in your career because you wouldn't have got past that hurdle. And you need that to be able to walk in. Like now, like to walk into an audition or to walk into something, it's the fact that I've done it enough times now that it's starting to get comfortable, so I can calm myself down and I can be the character. But all these guys helped me in the past has got me to this position, if it makes sense. It's hard to explain what I mean, but it's the stuff you remember. It's like all the people who was kind to you. Yeah,
definitely.
But then that's also the rule of this is also a rule to any new actor coming, because I've seen it so many times on different sets. A lot of new actors have come on and they'd be a fucking cunt. Sorry to swear, they'd be an absolute cunt of a person. But they don't mean to be. What's happening is they're so nervous, they're so scared that they're letting their fucking, I forgot what you call it, their persona, they're trying to cover their nerves by being a fucking dickhead. And by being a fucking dickhead, they're making everybody dislike them. So they're not going to work with them again. But you see it a lot. You see it a lot with new actors. I never see it with actors who became something because they've lost their ego. Their ego's gone. Like when I'm talking to Bradley Cooper and that, I'm looking at him, and this motherfucker's the coolest dude ever. He's walking around, he's saying hello to everybody, not because he has to, not because he's being fake, because he's generally that fucking secure with himself. That he's like, I'm so comfortable with being who I am that I've just got love for everybody here. And you're looking at him and you're like, this is a cool motherfucker. This guy's cool. But the new guys, they're not cool because they're so nervous about what's going on and they're trying to prove themselves and they're trying to prove they're good. So, like, somebody say to them, are you nervous? No, I'm cool. I'm amazing. And you're over-projecting who you are because actors are fucked up. Actors want, like I did for fucking years, I want somebody to say, yeah, you're all right, mate. You heard me earlier. I'm like those reviews. You want somebody to say, yeah, you're doing all right. Yeah. And then once you start to hear that, then you can start relaxing and be yourself. But it's fucking hard to break through that little bit of nerves of fuck, am I okay at this? Oh, I'm not. I'm shit. So I better make out I'm okay. By doing this, I'm being an asshole without realising, and then I'm off-putting everybody. And it's hard, man. That's the thing which But then luckily, like being around the stand-ins jobs so much, and plus, and it's funny, like when I look back at it, I did a million fucking extra jobs, a million. But I never told people because it was like, I don't want anybody to know I'm being an extra. But fuck, like all those. When I look back now, it's silly. It's silly to think that. Like I don't give a fuck. It's great. I'm on set. I'm earning money. You learn and you're around it. But if you go back even 3-4 years ago, I'm trying to keep that shit quiet. And it's so silly the mindset what you go through as an actor, and a lot of them do, and most people don't admit it. It's only because I admit it now because I realise, fuck, what an idiot I've been in past. But when you look at all the time when I did spend on set, all the like thousands, not thousands, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times as an extra, or as a stand-in, or as a one-line guy, or as a guy, and you're around all these guys that they want it too. So there's a lot of bitterness around these guys because everybody wants to be the guy. Everybody wants to be the main actor. Everybody wants to be that guy. And then, it's hard to explain, but it's only once you start to get some of the jobs, you start to realise that you can only actually perform in being yourself when you drop the bullshit. And you drop all the bullshit. It's your own mental battle you're going through. That's what you're constantly going through as an actor, is your mental battle of like keeping your ego in check. The amount of like, luckily it sucks, but throughout my career, I've had most of the stuff I've done hasn't been well received. It's been a pretty quick kick in the nuts and right, this is where you're at. Don't get ahead of your ego at all, So it's taught me not to fucking ever take anything for granted. This is why right now, with the great reviews, with the film doing it, I'm still pinching myself because I'm like, fucking hell, please, this could all go bad any minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's, I've gone right off on this whole tangent, but yeah, I don't even know the point I was making. But
well, along those lines, I was wondering, do you think if you would have made this movie and had good reviews, like if that would have been your first movie when you first got into acting when you were a younger guy, do you think that would have affected you differently? Do you think it could have
probably
given you like
probably
a big ego?
Yeah, probably. And I'm getting older. I mean, fuck, I look at my sorry, coughing. I look at myself in my 20s. Forget my early teens. I was a fucking dickhead. I look back at I look back at a million conversations I had with people, and it makes me cringe inside my stomach because I was a fucking arsehole. And like, it's so probably if this had done well 10 years ago, and I'd made this one Goodnight Glory. When I look back at Goodnight Glory, I was a fucking dickhead then. I didn't like. That's the one thing with Goodnight Glory. This has also been a good lesson on pushing this film, like why I'm never stopping pushing it because it's my duty. Goodnight Glory, I didn't push it. Shame on me. Shame on me. That was my film. Shame on me for not standing by my film and not pushing it. What a fucking arsehole I was. You know what I mean? And it's a lesson you learn through your career. But it's good in the way that it keeps your ego in check. It makes you realise that, that a lot of this is bollocks and just fucking don't get ahead of yourself because like right now, it's great. This film's doing great, but I still don't have another job lined up. That's the truth of it. We can all give the bollocks and we can give the bullshit, and like, yeah, this film's doing great. Fuck, man. I'm still struggling to pay rent. I still haven't got another movie lined up. So it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's great. I love it, and it feels good inside. Yeah, but until I book another gig, it's like fuck. Let's not get ahead of yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Along those lines, what kind of movie would you like to do? Would you like to continue doing horror movies, or does it not matter to you what genre movie you do?
The genre doesn't matter. The character does. I want to do parts which are good, well written, and that's a luxury in this business. That's a luxury because let's put it straight. If I'm an actor and I'm not fucking secured myself financially. So what comes if a few offers come, I'm going to take it. That's a fact. I've got to eat. I've got to live. But if many offers come, fuck, of course I want to pick something that's gritty and drama and thrilling and deep and dark. But we'll see what comes my way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm still struggling to book some films. Mm-hmm. But I'm hoping this is gonna help it. Fingers crossed and all that. But yeah, no, for the next film, there's a million different roles I'd like to play, but I do like playing darker characters. Mm-hmm. There's something that really I get a buzz off playing these characters. I enjoy it. I like getting into their skin. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a horror. It could be a thriller or a gangster or whatever. But I do like. Mm-hmm. I really do enjoy going playing a darker role, a darker character. But fuck knows, man. I'm lucky. Man, it's one of those jobs you're lucky to book something. So if I booked another horror and it's a good one, fuck, I'd be over the moon. Mm-hmm.
How about writing? Would you be into writing another script or co-writing?
Yeah, definitely. And I've got a lot of scripts which are partly finished and so on. The one problem with it is that it's such a long process. I do need to book some. I need to book some acting gigs to allow me to do that, because you got to fucking live. You got to eat. You got to earn some money. You got to fucking put yourself in a comfortable position, because it's a long process, man. Like 2.5 years. If you work out like 2.5 years, if you write in something to when it's actually being released. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you go and book a job, you get that job, you can live off it for a bit. So, but yeah, no, I'm always going to want to write. I guess I enjoy it. I've got a lot of stuff a lot of unfinished work, which I've got to get done with the writing. But yeah, fingers crossed, man.
I noticed on Amazon that it lists Who's Watching Oliver as a comedy, drama, horror. Do you agree with the comedy part?
If it sells, yes.
Sure.
Like on Amazon, I saw on Amazon we're in the documentary department, comedy. Fuck it, man. If it sells, I'll go for any of that. But there's some there's some light-hearted moments in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is. Is it a comedy? No, not at all, is it? It's a dark fucking story. But in life, you have some light-hearted moments. I guess, like, when I'm in the mirror practicing how to speak to Sophia, or there's some funny bits. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they were never played as funny. It just works out they ended up funny. Like, when I played it, and this is down to Richie and Ray, they obviously saw that as funny. I didn't. They do you know what I mean? I never played it as comedy. Mm-hmm. I played it as, right, we're doing this scene, play it as Oliver. So I just did that. And that was Richie and Ray directing. I never even seen, you know what I mean? It was almost as when I watched it, I didn't even know those scenes were there. Mm-hmm. And then when it's funny, it's like, oh shit, that came across like that. They never told me that. I never knew, even when we wrote it, we wrote it together, that was that. But then once we went to directing, Richie and Ray, they took over and they done their thing. Mm-hmm. Fair play to that, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's nice in that aspect.
Is your father still alive? I just wondering.
I love it. Sorry, I love it. As we're speaking now, my whole head is like, fuck, I'm trying to think what, because I went a bit honest on everything there, so now I'm thinking back, did I just say anything I shouldn't have said? Yeah, so fuck it. I'm kind of in talking to you, but my whole mind's just going back on what did I just go into on my whole little off-topic subject about life and acting and all that. I'm filtering myself now in my brain, going, what the fuck did I just say? Yeah,
I thought it was interesting. But is your father still alive?
Yes, love him to pieces.
Because has he seen Who's Watching Oliver? Since he was like the guy that got you into watching movies.
Yeah, he watched it. Yeah, not his cup of tea, but he's supportive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Funny enough, it's funny enough. I think but they're not really into horror. My family ain't into horror so much, but but no, everybody was cool. Everybody was really cool. And funny enough, my gran, she's still alive. My gran, she loves horror, so she'd probably dig. She'd dig Oliver.
Oh, very cool.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. My grandmother turns 94 this Saturday.
Does she?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool, man. My gran was 80. I think 80. Fuck 80. She was 80 about three weeks ago. It was amazing. It's like one of the first times the whole family had been. Well, not the whole. A lot of them weren't there, but a lot of us had been together for about five years. It was what a day. Loved it.
Very cool.
It was great.
Birthday to her. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. But my granddad and all that, man, they're religious. So yeah, I'm let's avoid them watching. Who's watching Oliver?
Sure, I get it.
But yeah.
So what?
See, just in when I swore, I was like, "Oh, granddad, Jesus, better not swear." We'll say Jesus. Oh. Nah, I fucking hope not.
Yeah, no one listens to this. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But I grew up watching movies with my mom. That's who really got me into watching horror movies and movies in general.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's nice. My dad used to watch a lot of the gangster films and a lot of the cowboy films. Mm-hmm. So I'd watch them, and then no. And then, fuck, what am I talking about? No, he liked horror. That's bollocks. Because then he used to make a big thing out of horror. Yes. So we'd go over and stay with him, and then we'd watch a horror, and then he'd take me and my sister. Like, there's 2 years difference with me and my sister. Mm-hmm. So he'd take us for a drive after, telling ghost stories in the car. Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. I remember, I remember back then he was doing taxi driving at one point. So nice. We'd watch a film. What one was it? Like, I think it was a Stepfather films. Do you remember those films with the whistling guy? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I remember watching that, and then him taking us out for a drive at like midnight in the car, and we were really young. And then telling us the whole story of when he drives through this tunnel, what we're about to approach. You can't look in the mirror or somebody sat next to him. Yeah. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
But I tell you something fucked up with that, what he used to do. So if I'd been bad, if I was in trouble or what, and see, the whole thing with my dad's punishments was, if ever he gave us a punishment, he'd stick by it. There was no going around it, no talking your way out of it. This is it. Mm-hmm. My mum was different. She'd go nuts or get, but that was different. Anyway, with my dad, but he'd let me watch the beginning of a horror film, and then he'd know it, and I'm thinking, right, can I watch it all? But little did I know, his punishment had said you're going to bed at 9 o'clock, no matter what. So we're like watching his horror. Watch all the bad shit, all the scary shit, and then he'd send me to bed, the motherfucker. Shouldn't say motherfucker, that's my dad, but yeah. But so he'd send me to bed, and I'd be like 12 or 10, 11, 12, have to go upstairs alone while my sister and them watching the rest of the horror. I'm upstairs shitting myself now. And then it'd take, literally didn't get to see the end of the horror where all the good shit and when it was there, because that was my punishment. So yeah. Funny, I haven't thought about that for years. Yeah. No wonder why I'm fucked up. And why I'm such a pussy and scared of everything.
So, what movies, do any movies still scare you?
What movies scare me now? Texas Chainsaw Massacre still scares me. Mm-hmm. Strangers, that scares me still. And that's just a new one. Even Conjuring scared me, man. I thought The Conjuring Part 1, not the first 15 minutes. I thought the first 15 minutes was bollocks, and then it suddenly went really good. But I find that scary. There was a film called The Eyes of Laura Mars. I love that film. Back, have you ever seen that film?
That sounds familiar.
It was where she was a psychic, and then she would see through the eyes of the killer.
No, I don't think I did. That
scared me. What other films scared me? Friday the 13th Part 1, I guess if I watched that'd still freak me out a bit, just because I had the memories of being scared. But then there was other films that scared... There was films that I wasn't allowed to watch as a kid that always scared us until we watched it, and then it was bollocks. But we never watched... Me and my sister, we always wanted to watch Grandmother's House.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were never allowed to watch it. But it was the back of the cover where they're hid under a bridge while this scary woman's on top. That would scare the fuck out of me as a kid. And God knows why we never was allowed to watch it, because it was never scary. But that was like, back then we'd watch like Exorcist, all this, but this stupid film, which was never scary. So yeah, stuff like that, but still scary. I love The Shining. I find that creeps me out. That'd be a role, something like that. I'd love to play.
Yeah.
What other films? Oh, what's that film? That still freaks me out a bit. It's an old black and white. Hill House. What's the film on Hill House?
Oh, Hell House. Yeah, The Legend of Hell House.
Yeah, Hill House. It's like an old black and white film. Where this guy invites them all to come up for the weekend.
Yeah.
And there's one bit in the garden where he's driving in the garden near the end, and woman steps out in front of the car. That still scares me. Real stuff scares me. Anything what could really happen, that scares me. A film Shutter, the Thai version, I guess that'd scare me still. That was scary as fuck. What about you? What films scare you?
What scares me? When I was a kid, do you know the movie Magic with Hannibal Lecter actor. What's his name? Who plays Hannibal Lecter?
Yeah. Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins, yeah. And it's
I love Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, so it's an older movie of his where he's got a man.
Jacob's Ladder?
No, it's a movie called Magic. And he
never
has
seen that. I love Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, and just the trailer, and it's only like 10 seconds long, always freaked me out as a kid. Yeah. And it was just the dummy there, and he's like saying this little poem.
But yeah, no, I love Anthony Hopkins is one of my favorites.
Yeah, so
actors wise,
definitely. So this is a trailer with the dummy. The trailer for Magic always freaked me out because there's like a mannequin, a dummy. A ventriloquist puppet, and he says this little poem, and then at the end it's just like, "And you're dead," and it just always really freaked me out.
I'm gonna have to watch that. I'm gonna watch that film.
Yeah, so that one definitely.
I love Anthony Hopkins. I love him. I think he's funny enough, and I love him in Silence of the Lambs and all that. But my favourite film with him in is Meet Joe Black.
Oh yeah, that's a good movie.
Just acting wise, I think he's unbelievable in that film.
And when I was a kid, it's a Stephen King vampire movie, Salem's Lot. The images always scared me, and my brother had my brother's older, and he'd have the Fangoria magazines and Famous Monsters, and they'd always show images from that movie, and it would always freak me out, like the little kids.
Yeah, do you know? Right, I'm gonna say this on it. Actually, fuck it. I wasn't gonna, but I will. Fangoria. Yes, Fangoria, you. I've been a fan of yours since I was a kid. You were the magazine that meant the most to me. Like, as a kid, they were the magazines that everybody, and I've told them that a million times, messaged them. Please review Oliver. You're the one horror site left which haven't reviewed us yet, and we keep reaching out to you. Please review us. It means a lot to me. I was a massive fan of yours. Fangoria, the magazine, we grew up with you. You were our guy. Be our guy back. So anybody listening, please tell Fangoria to be kind to who's watching Oliver. Tell him to give us some love. Yeah. Give us a little bit of, come and watch us, man. We're not that bad. We keep expressing to you, Fangoria, that we love you. We're fans of yours. We want to, So it'd mean a lot. Do you know, funny enough, they're probably not doing anything on us because I'm bothering the fuck out of them. I keep doing it. But it's one of those, do you know one of those, like, magazines that mean something to you because of nostalgia?
Right.
More than anything. That's it. It's Fangoria. It's nostalgic. It's like, you're the one I remember. Come on, please put us in there. Just watch us, please. And it's been about a year and a half now. I've been back and forward over every few months. I'd try again. Now they're going to review us and hate us because I've said this, so I probably shouldn't. But fuck it, Fangoria, we love you. Me, Raymond Huber, Richie Moore, we fucking love you, man. You were the one. You were the nostalgic one. Put us in there. Come on, man. Put us in.
Yeah.
This is. I've gone public. At least put us in. Neal, please tell him.
I will agree. I will tell Fangoria. I'm very surprised. I grew up reading Fangoria myself, and yeah, just
fucking love. Do you know what? They're busy. I get it. They're busy and all that, but come on, man. Please. This is a favour to favour. I grew up with you, man. I grew up. You were the one. Do you know? There's magazines that I wasn't allowed as a kid. Do you know, like there was those comic book magazines which had swearing in, or the horror magazines. That was one of them. And it's like, fuck, come on, just get us in there. Oh, shouldn't have said that, but fuck it. I'm going to get in trouble now for saying that. But, yeah.
That's fine. You mentioned earlier about Texas Chainsaw Massacre being, banned in the country. And I watched recently a documentary about the, I forget the term in England there. What's the term for the movies they couldn't show, the horror movies? But it was a great documentary.
Not sure, but yeah.
No, the video nasties. Yeah, back when I was the video nasties.
Yes. So back when I was younger in England, by the way, a lot of American films didn't get through to England; they were banned. Like Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Faces of Death, they were all banned. So once you got them, when you got a copy of that, which I remember my dad bought a copy of it out of the local paper. Do you know what I mean? Like the free ad paper. And oh my god, it was like just having the best thing you could ever have is having one of those banned movies. And like I'd tell everybody. I remember at school telling everybody that I'd watched like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And because I'm a kid, it's like, yeah, it's banned. I had that. What? Yeah, we know people. We know people. We got this sorted. We know people. And it was like, fuck. It just having that thing banned, it meant so much more to me as a kid. Do you know what I mean? It was like, that's a film what you just shouldn't watch. I loved it. Loved it.
And there's something to that, because, today you can watch anything, anywhere, all over the internet.
Yeah.
But there's something, not even if it's, banned is cool, but even the idea of, you had to go down and rent it at the video store seemed more special.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, without doubt. Do you know what? It's so funny. I always bring this up, how much I miss VHS and going to the video shop. I really do. I really I don't think there's many pleasures in life as I ever got to go into a video shop and spending an hour or 2 hours picking the films, what you was going to take back with you. Like you just can't explain that to people of this generation, how much pleasure you would get out of that. I honestly, I can't explain how much pleasure of walking into a video shop when I had no money. Because, I guess you was the same as me. On Friday night, that was a treat. You would get a video release. You were allowed to rent a video. So all week, I'd be in, the video shop just there for, half an hour to try and, think about it and read in the back of the video covers. And I'd read the back of every one. And it was, I'd buzzed off it so much. And then you get there, and it's a Friday. You've made your decision, and the video behind the video is missing. And that means it's out. Fuck. You go through all this drama, all this this pursuit, and then the videotape behind that, because that's how they used to do it, didn't they? They used to have the video, and then they'd have a video case behind what would tell you if it was still available. I miss those days.
The first video store we had, Curtis Mathis, and they did a system where you had to tell them the number you wanted, so each video had a number. And so you'd get up in line and have a list of numbers, and you wouldn't know because they didn't have the video there, so you wouldn't know if it was out or not. So you'd have to go up and stand in line, and then give them your numbers, and then they tell you if they were in stock. And it was a big hassle.
So I remember the first video shop. It's not Blockbuster, but they had loads of homegrown video shops, and as a kid, those were the ones you try and go with your friends. because they'd always have that back room full of porn,
right.
where you could rent porn,
Uh-huh.
and they'd have like that. They'd all have like that fucking curtain coming down with like the tassels coming down. And like the little dark room. And that'd be the thing, to try and sneak into there as a kid to get a look before you got kicked out of the shop. Yeah.
The one movie I always wanted to rent as a kid, and for some reason the store didn't have it for a long time, was Motel Hell, because I would see the pictures in the magazine of the guy with like, the pig head on and the chainsaw on, and be like, oh my god, I got to see this movie.
Yeah.
So it was a long time before I got to see it.
That was the other thing. As a kid, it was the covers, man. Like those 80s covers were fucking amazing, man.
Mm-hmm.
I miss that. That was the thing. I always used to rent not DVDs, VHSs from the cover.
Mm-hmm.
It was the covers, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back to some of the ones which I just loved. Even Shocker. I remember Shocker having a real good cover.
Mm-hmm.
What other ones had? And the Nightmare on Elm Street with the bus on it. I love that cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's very cool. I always liked
Joel Swazon.
Was that?
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to
say Joel Swazon. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Oh, amazing. And then there was other covers, like, obviously, a lot of people always bring up Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer with Oliver, which originally was kind of the idea which I had. It was like I said on the last podcast. Mm-hmm. Originally, my idea for Oliver was to have him more as like that Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer type of character, and it was Raymond who had actually said more of a Marty McFly meets Forrest Gump, and then we really go darker with his psychology. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I always remember that front cover of his VHS was kind of creepy.
Yeah. I think it was just like his.
And there was other ones. There was, something like that. And then, what was it? There was a Jodie Foster cover, which was, that film creeped me out as a kid. Actually, the little girl who lived down the lane.
Yeah,
I always remember that one being a creep.
Yeah. They used to show it a lot on my some cable channel when I was real little. Like would come on a lot.
Yeah,
it was. I haven't seen that in
years.
And
Paper House.
Mm-hmm.
Paper House was a horror. That one had a cool cover. I remember that one being kind of cool.
Yeah, I always loved.
And then and then obviously yes, fuck yeah. And then there was I'm trying to think of and then you had him on there as well, the Maniac Cop stuff. I always used to love those covers as well. I loved the Maniac Cops when I was young.
Yeah, I just watched them again recently for that interview, and I really enjoyed them. The third one's, but the first two were really good movies.
Yeah, there was a few iffy ones, but the first ones were awesome. Mm-hmm. But then as a kid, I loved all those franchises of horrors. I buzzed off them all.
Yeah.
There was like, what was my mind literally just went blank. I had a load in my head stored up, ready. From about 30 seconds ago, I started to store in my head, and now it just blanked out. Yeah. But
there's
it's different age now, though, isn't it? It's different. Mm-hmm. It's like it's weird. Like it's weird because we look back at those with all nostalgia, how it's changing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do. I'm just staying over. Like I'd stay over at mates, and it was always a thing, like to watch 2 or 3 of the same horror in one night. Mm-hmm. Oh, I tell you a film what fucking scared me as a kid was Witchboard. Do you remember that film?
Yeah. What's the Ouija
board? I think that's scared. Ouija boards used to freak the fuck out of me as a kid. It's funny. I tell you a funny story. So where I live with my mum, we grew up at like a council estate. So what's that like? Do you know like the government flats?
Sure.
So I lived like that, and but it was lovely. It was actually, it sounds worse than it is. They were really nice. Like Hayden Drive, where I lived, really super nice. Loads of flats there, but all of us got banned from doing Ouija boards in the bottom because loads of kids would meet up and do like little Ouija boards and shit in the bottom, and then everybody would get scared. Uh-huh. So we all got banned from doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I used the Ouija board for the first time a few years ago. I never thought much. Yeah, and I went in not thinking, like I didn't believe like they would work or anything. And my friend Annabelle at the time we used one at this local cemetery here in the Cape.
And, you sick fucks.
And it was.
What are you doing?
And it was weird because it really moved, and we got like answers, and they weren't like creepy. It was like kind of mundane stuff, which made me think like there's something to it.
Bruv, you got the lurgies on. They're not the lurgies. What the fuck? You brought him onto you, man. You can't be doing that shit. I'm too like. Somebody recently said to me, "Do I want to do a Ouija board?" I'm trying to think who it was, and I was like, "Fuck no, I'm a pussy, man." Even if it didn't move, I'd freak myself out.
The last time we used it twice, and the other time we used it was Halloween night in Salem, Massachusetts. We used it out in the woods.
Amazing.
And there was it was so weird because a raccoon came up behind me and climbed up the tree. It just like sat like almost over my head. It was very weird.
Fuck. What's Salem like, man? That must have been a trip.
Yeah,
I'd love
Salem's
to do that.
Very cool. It's like parts of Salem are very touristy, so like they're selling like knickknacks and that kind of stuff. But then there's like the real old
I'd buy
parts
that shit
of Salem.
as well.
Yeah, both parts are fun. So some's kind of like kitschy kind of thing. But then like there's parts where it's the real old Salem with the graveyards and stuff, and it's really wild. We did a walking tour for one Halloween.
Yeah,
and it showed you, where they weren't. I don't think they're buried, but they had like benches, I think, with the names of the witches that were burned. Well, they weren't burned. They were
nice,
hung.
Man.
Yeah, so it was pretty wild.
I'd love to go there. I'd love to do that. Cool, man. No, it's been a fucking amazing chatting.
Yeah. It's always great to have you on, and we'll do it again.
Oh, mate, I really appreciate you inviting me on it. I'd love to come back on. I love it.
All right.
Big fan of your show, man. And I appreciate, like I said before, man, I really appreciate you having me on. It's nice. Really nice.
I appreciate you coming on, and I know we talked about this before.
Thank you, brother.
We'll have you back for like a guest host, I think would be fun, and we could talk about...
I'd love to do that. Yeah. I'd love to.
All right. Well, we'll do that. And people should check out Who's Watching Oliver. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great movie, honestly. Not just because you're here. I really dug it.
Thank you, brother.
And you mentioned it's like on Amazon, Video Demand, so there's a lot of different places you can get it.
Yeah, it's on loads of places now. Amazon Video on Demand, Xbox, PlayStation, Google Play, loads of cable networks got us on there. Vudu, Verizon, or loads of places. Just Google Who's Watching Oliver and you'll find us somewhere. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And I'd love it if you checked out the movie, obviously. But yeah, cheers.
Very cool. Thanks again, Russell. I'll talk to you again soon.
No, thank you, brother. All the best, yeah. You take care, brother.
You as well. Bye.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
See ya.
This is Billy Pond, a.k.a. Bloody Bill, out here in West Texas. And you're listening to Without Your Head on withoutyourhead.com. And I know something about Without Your Head because that's what we do in Circus of the Dead. We make love to heads. So if you want to be without your head, you should tune in and listen.